This podcast is made possible by you, the supporters of WPLN and WNXP, Nashville Public Radio.
This is the Nashvillager Podcast. It's October 7th, 2025. On this day in 1916, Lebanon's Cumberland University lost to Georgia Tech in what many believed to have been the most lopsided football game in history. The final score was 222-0. I've heard from people who went to Georgia Tech that the game is still talked about from time to time there as this point of goofy pride. You know, we had the biggest win ever. And it was during a legendary era for Georgia Tech. They were undefeated. Their coach at the time was John Heisman. Yes, that Heisman, the man the top prize in college football is named for. But according to the late Nashville historian Ridley Wills, the story was a little more complicated than it seemed. For one thing, it came on the heels of a baseball game between those two schools the previous spring that was a landslide for Cumberland, 22-0. The folks at Tech were pretty upset over that loss. So when Heisman got the message that Cumberland was canceling its previously scheduled football game against Georgia Tech, he took a hard line. Cumberland's administration had actually decided football cost more than it was worth and entirely disbanded the team, but he didn't care. Georgia Tech's folks told Cumberland they considered the canceled game a breach of contract that would cost $3,000. So it went forward. But the team that Cumberland sent wasn't really a team. Basically, it was a bunch of students who volunteered to play because it involved a free trip to Atlanta where they could party. They only practiced a couple of times, and the party came the night before the game. Of course, they were trounced. I'm Nina Cardona, and this is your daily digest of what's happening around Middle Tennessee with historical context from Nashville Public Radio, WPLN News. I used to come across brief mentions of that Cumberland football loss from time to time and always felt really bad for them. I mean, they lost by literally hundreds of points. So it's good to learn that it was just one game and they weren't really truly trying or even really a team. However, when a pro team loses and loses and loses again, that's very different. Which is why I feel like the mood on autumn Sundays around this city has tended to be a little tense. Strained, if you will. For a while now, after every Titans game, my husband's shoulders would slump a little. A 10-game losing streak will do that to a football fan. Well, in case you hadn't heard, they broke the streak this weekend. By all accounts, it was a wild and weird game. One of the other team's players suffered a spectacular injury. But in the end, the Titans pulled through and defeated the Arizona Cardinals. Hope is in the air once again. And maybe it really is something in the air or the water or something because a lot of local teams are having a really good run right now. The University of Tennessee's football team is currently ranked 12th in the nation, and Vanderbilt is number 20. Traditionally, their annual cross-state rivalry game in November has always been the kind of thing people at least joke about turning out sort of like that Georgia Tech versus Cumberland game, lopsided to an extreme. But this year, it could be incredibly competitive. And of course, the really big thing at the moment is the other kind of football. Soccer. Nashville SC won a national trophy last week, the Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup. Now, that's not the same thing as the MLS title. It's a tournament that predates the MLS, is run by a different organization, and technically can include non-MLS teams. In fact, the MLS season is not even entirely over. But the Cup was a really major win for NSC. It's the team's first trophy, and, as they would like to remind us all, the city's first national championship in any professional sport. And it looks like one of the team's members could be headed for a big individual title, too. Hani Mukhtar and Sam Surridge are currently tied as frontrunners for the Golden Boot and MVP, which is the award that recognizes the MLS player who scores the most goals in a single season. If winning's in the water these days, hopefully the luck sticks around after freezing into ice, because the Nashville Predators season is about to begin. Their first game against Columbus is Thursday night at Bridgestone Arena. In just a few minutes, the lasting power of low-head dams. That's coming up after the newscast.
At WPLN, we tell stories about honoring our families.
If he become a monk, that means that mom and dad will go to heaven when they pass away.
And preserving memories.
I never heard of a Rosenwald school. Nobody never told me that's where I went.
I'm Char Daston, and my reporting connects you with your neighbors and the important moments in their lives.
Here's the latest from WPLN News. Today is primary election day in Tennessee's 7th Congressional District. Polls will be open from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. The special election will pick party nominees to replace Mark Green, who stepped down this summer. You can find out more about the election, including a link to determine if you are part of the 7th District at our website, WPLN.org. Meanwhile, the Davidson County Election Commission has failed to hire a new administration. The Nashville Banner reports that after days of interviews with candidates, the commission deadlocked on picking a replacement for current election commissioner Jeff Roberts, who's retiring at the end of the year. The election commissioner is responsible for administering and supervising elections. It is a nonpartisan role, but the selection process has been thwarted by partisanship. That's because the commission is made up of 3 Republican appointees and 2 Democratic appointees. Last week, the group's Republican majority looked ready to appoint John Richardson. Richardson works in finance, but is also a member of the Tennessee Republican Party's executive committee. The Democrats on the commission balked at the possibility of selecting a partisan operative for the role, and one of the Republican appointees agreed, eventually abstaining from the vote. Democrats pushed for David Hamilton, a longtime elections advisor who's coordinated elections under presidents of both parties. Republicans, however, were not on board. That's left no commissioner in place. Instead, they've agreed to reopen the application period for another week. Fewer Tennesseans are traveling out of state for abortion care, but that doesn't necessarily mean fewer abortions. WPLN's Rose Gilbert has the story.
Following the end of Roe v. Wade, there was a massive spike in people traveling out of state for reproductive care, including thousands of people from Tennessee, which has one of the strictest abortion bans in the nation. So far this year, those numbers have fallen, according to new data from the Guttmacher Institute, a research organization that supports abortion rights. But it's not clear if that means people are getting fewer abortions. Several states have passed shield laws that allow people in states with bans, like Tennessee, to be prescribed abortion pills via telehealth appointments and have that prescription mailed to them. Rose Gilbert, WPLN News.
Local prosecutors in the district that includes the Trousdale-Turner Correctional Facility say they are drowning in the huge number of caseloads caused by the lack of resources at the state's largest prison. The privately run facility is currently under investigation by the U.S. Justice Department. District Attorney Jason Lawson appeared before members of the Senate, State, and Local Corrections Subcommittee last week to provide a glimpse into the criminal operations at the prison. He says his office has prosecuted more than 200 crimes in the last 4 years, but this is only a fraction of the offenses occurring at the prison. Lawson says that overworked investigators, the inability to collect evidence, and compromised staff members prevent prosecution of every offense. He also told members that guards and prison managers are often bribed to look the other way. The Tennessean Report's Corrections Commissioner Frank Strata says only that his agency will look into Lawson's requests. Hispanic-owned businesses in Nashville continue to feel the effects of a federal immigration crackdown. Juan Pablo owns Jaws 15 coffee shop on Antioch Pike. He says some businesses have lost much of their customer base because people are staying home out of fear.
The people is just really afraid to just go out or enjoy the time or enjoy the moment. And it's kind of difficult because I don't want that for the community, you know? And it's more hard in the Hispanic businesses, you know, and I'm really encouraged to people to just go to the small businesses to support.
Pablo appeared on WPLN's This is Nashville to talk about his own experience moving to Middle Tennessee from Mexico. Another Hispanic business leader called this a come-to-Jesus moment, saying some folks will have to make that hard decision to stay or leave. You can listen to the full show at thisisnashville.org or wherever you get your podcasts. Google has awarded $100,000 to the Southeastern Grasslands Institute at Austin Peay State University. It will support a new ecological project near the company's Clarksville property. Francis Grafer with member station WKMS has the details.
SGI will work with Google employees and area volunteers to develop a grassland program that will support environmental efforts around the corporation's Clarksville data center. According to an APSU release, the donation will help promote ecological restoration, monitor local water quality, and boost community engagement in and around the Spring Creek watershed. Google previously collaborated with the SGI to cultivate 2 prairies outside of the company's data center campus in Montgomery County. The environmental institution at Austin Peay State focuses on developing solutions for issues challenging southeastern grasslands, which it says are among the most endangered ecosystems in North America. I'm Frances Grafer in Murray.
Meanwhile, Austin Peay will now consider military experience equal to having a college degree for many of its staff positions. The Clarksville University already has the most military-affiliated students in the state, and now it is Tennessee's first institution of higher education to offer this unique career pathway for veterans. The move is meant to bridge military service and civilian life. A university official says he wants to ensure that the thousands of soldiers stationed at Fort Campbell can find meaningful careers. Some exceptions will apply to positions that require professional degrees based on legal or accreditation standards. Much of Nashville perked up while listening to the new Taylor Swift album this weekend. On the 6th song of The Life of a Showgirl, Swift makes a niche Nashville reference that turned some heads. Music reporter Justin Barney has the story.
26 seconds into Ruin the Friendship, Swift says this.
Gallatin Road and the Lakeside Beach.
Gallatin Road and the Lakeside Beach. It is kind of painful that an artist so focused on detail flubbed the fact that it is Gallatin Pike, not Gallatin Road, but still, Swift making a niche reference to East Nashville and Madison was a treat this weekend. The song goes back to Swift's days at Hendersonville High School. Gallatin Ave turns into Gallatin Pike into Johnny Cash Parkway and then West Main Street out there. Swift confirmed that the song is about Jeff Lang, her high school friend who passed away at 21 years old. She says that she should have taken the risk of ruining their friendship and gone in for the kiss.
Lakeside Beach in that song refers to Old Hickory Beach. You'll find more news anytime at WPLN.org. In waterways across Appalachia, so-called low-head dams have been responsible for deaths, but some community members are hesitant to have the fixtures removed. For the Appalachia Mid-South Newsroom, Shepard Snyder and Pierce Gentry report.
Last month, crews with the Kentucky Department of Fish and Wildlife excavated a low-head dam out of Elkhorn Creek. The stream runs through a public park in Georgetown, a suburb just north of Lexington. Fish and Wildlife Commissioner Rich Storm says removing the dam has been on the agency's radar for a number of years.
Early in my tenure, I found out that we owned this particular dam, which is unusual, and the safety concern coupled with public input, public meetings, we determined that it was in our best interest to remove this.
Thousands of low-head dams are found in rivers, ponds, and creeks across the country. They're usually around several feet tall. Fatal accidents at low-head dams have earned them the nickname, quote, drowning machines. The Georgetown Dam caused 2 reported drownings in the past 4 years. Here's Fish and Wildlife Officer Matthew Hartley.
I would say probably 90% of my drownings that I have worked in my career has been involved with low-head dams.
Environmentalists say such dams also limit the health of streams. Michael Washburn of the Kentucky Waterways Alliance says removing a low-head dam could boost biodiversity.
We'll see an increased diversity of fish coming in here that are more desirable than some of the fish that sort of like hang out around dams. Fish, aquatic wildlife, really like to have open and free-flowing waters, and this impedes them.
Commissioner Storm says these removals haven't been without opposition. Many of these dams have been around for decades and have endeared themselves to local residents.
So I think people oftentimes have a difficulty with the change. It's been this way for a number of years and perhaps 100+ years.
In Tennessee, one small town has fought for years to save a low-head dam that dates back to the mid-19th century. Built with stone quarried from a nearby mountaintop, Calhoun City Manager Joe Bryan says the Saw Paw Mill Dam serves as a point of local pride.
It's beautiful, and a lot of people travel up the river in boats just to come up here and see it. Especially, like I said, in the summer, you've got about an 8-foot waterfall, so it's...
Several years ago, the Tennessee Valley Authority proposed removing the dam because of safety concerns. But Bryan says his town's dam isn't like some of the others found in the region.
There's never been a documented death at this mill site.
A fact that his town is proud of. Last month, after receiving several rounds of local public feedback calling for the dam to be saved, the TVA said it has postponed its demolition. Removing dams can be expensive, and the TVA has budget concerns amid an ongoing federal shakeup. Farther north, in the town of Walland, the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers is still moving forward with the removal of the Peary Mill Dam. Its $14 million price tag put off some locals.
I really was shocked just because of all the cutbacks we've been having, so it is a huge price tag.
That's Alicia Peary, the great-granddaughter of one of the dam's original owners. She understands concerns about the dangers their family's dam poses, but doesn't get why government agencies are spending so much money on projects that many locals are opposed to.
It's a really special place, and people just gravitate towards it. I drove by yesterday, and it was packed with cars.
Another concern is the Pearys don't even know who owns their dam anymore. It's a problem shared by many lowhead dams in Kentucky and Tennessee, making it unclear who has the right to remove or alter them. For the Appalachia Mid-South Newsroom, I'm Pierce Gentry.
And I'm Shepard Snyder.
Always so great to hear this reporting from our colleagues at other stations in the Appalachia Mid-South Newsroom, which is a collaborative effort across 7 stations and 3 states. We do this roundup of news every weekday, so subscribe in your favorite podcasting app to make sure you never miss an episode. And if you like this, you'll probably enjoy the Nashvillager newsletter too. You'll get perspective from more of my colleagues at Nashville Public Radio and links to the stories we're following. Sign up for those daily emails at WPLN.org/Nashvillager. Thanks so much for listening. Let's make this day a good one, and we'll catch back up tomorrow.